Have you ever opened up your banking app, seen this massive, unused $50,000 line of credit just sitting there, and thought, wait a minute, why is this just collecting dust? Why don't I invest this and make some easy money? Well, welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to tackle that exact temptation. Because let's be real, at first glance, it sounds like an absolutely brilliant idea, right? Today, we're diving deep into the actual reality of using borrowed money to invest. It's a strategy that has literally built incredible wealth for some folks, but has completely wrecked others financially. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll look at the promise of leverage, the hidden trap, lines of credit versus loans, who should actually take the risk, when to walk away, and finally, smarter paths to wealth. Let's get right into it. So here's the ultimate question staring us in the face. Should you actually use borrowed money to invest? It's a temptation almost every investor faces the second they unlock a new tier of credit. I mean, is it a genius wealth hack or a catastrophic mistake? By the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly where you stand. Section 1. The promise of leverage. The allure of borrowing. Now, the fancy technical term for this strategy is leverage. And simply put, that just means borrowing capital with the goal of increasing the potential return on an investment. Think about it. Instead of waiting years and years, slowly scraping together money from your paycheck, you borrow a large lump sum today and you invest it right now. The logic here is pretty straightforward. If your investments grow faster than the interest you're paying to the bank, you come out ahead. It's a super alluring tool. I mean, it's used by major corporations, real estate moguls, and highly experienced investors to basically put wealth building on fast forward. And honestly, the pitch sounds brilliant when you just look at the basic percentages. Imagine your investments reliably earn 10% a year, right? And your borrowed money, that line of credit, only costs you 6% in interest. So aren't you simply pocketing that 4% difference? It literally sounds like free money. You didn't even use a single dime of your own cash, and boom, you're making a 4% profit? Let's anchor this in reality with some real numbers. Say you borrow $50,000. At a 6% interest rate, your cost is going to be about $3,000 for the year. But if your investments hit a 10% return, you gain $5,000. You pay back the interest and you pocket a smooth $2,000 net profit. Bam! On paper, it looks like an absolute mathematical certainty. But, we really have to look beyond that perfect sunny day scenario. As our source material brilliantly points out, leverage is exactly like driving a high-performance sports car. When the road is straight and the weather is perfect, man, it is thrilling. It accelerates your journey like nothing else. But when things go wrong, when you hit an unexpected patch of ice, that crash can be absolutely severe. Leverage magnifies everything, the good and definitely the bad. Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden trap. What happens when markets fall? Here's what so many folks conveniently just forget when they're daydreaming about all this leverage. Markets do not go up every single year. Imagine you borrow $100,000. The very next month, a recession hits, and the market drops by 30%. Just like that, suddenly, that portfolio is only worth $70,000. A huge chunk of your wealth just vanished into thin air. But here's the true nightmare in this scenario. You still owe the bank the full $100,000 plus interest. The bank does not care that the stock market had a bad month. They just want their money. So now you're actively making monthly payments out of your own paycheck for an investment that is actually losing money. And this, you guys, this triggers a brutal psychological spiral. Step 1, the market drops. Step 2, that massive debt hanging over your head creates absolutely unbearable financial stress, so you panic sell. Step 3, by doing that, you permanently lock in those brutal 30% losses. And step 4, because you got spooked and sold everything, you completely miss the market recovery that inevitably follows a few years down the line. Remember, leverage doesn't just magnify financial losses, it magnifies your emotional reactions too. And that is a really, really dangerous combination. All right, Section 3, lines of credit versus loans, choosing your tool. If you're still thinking about doing this, you generally have two choices. A line of credit gives you incredible flexibility. You can just borrow what you need, pay it back, borrow again. And they usually offer lower interest rates. However, those rates are variable. So if the central bank decides to raise interest rates, your borrowing costs can skyrocket overnight, completely squeezing your profit margins. Now, on the flip side, a personal loan gives you one lump sum with fixed, predictable payments and a fixed interest rate. It makes budgeting way easier, for sure. But personal loans usually carry higher interest rates and offer literally zero flexibility. And remember, neither of these tools magically removes the investment risk. They just change the rules of how you have to pay the bank back.
Moving on to Section 4. Who should take the risk? The ideal investor. So, who is this actually for? Well, borrowing to invest really only makes sense if your financial foundation is practically bulletproof. You must have a highly stable income to cover those loan payments, even if your investments completely tank. You need a fully funded emergency savings account and absolutely zero high-interest debt, like no credit card balances, period. Furthermore, you really need a long investment horizon. We're talking decades here, not months. Plus, you need the emotional discipline to not panic sell when the market inevitably drops. Basically, this strategy is for seasoned investors who deeply diversify their portfolios, not for beginners chasing speculative penny stocks.
Section 5. When to walk away. Major red flags.
Conversely, there are some massive red flags that mean you should run in the exact opposite direction. Never, ever borrow to invest if you are carrying credit card debt. That sky-high interest rate is going to eat any potential market return alive. Stay far away if you don't have emergency savings, if you're driven by FOMO, the fear of missing out, or if you're just chasing a quick profit based on some random social media post. But most importantly, investing should never ruin your mental health. If a 30% market drop would make you lose sleep at night, this strategy is absolutely 100% not for you. Which brings us to Section 6, Smarter Paths to Wealth, Alternative Strategies. Thankfully, you don't actually need to borrow money to build lasting wealth. For the vast majority of us, a much smarter path looks a little more like this. Step 1, just invest automatically every single payday. Make it a habit. Step 2, maximize your tax-advantaged accounts, like a TFSA or an RRSP. Step 3, focus purely on diversified long-term assets. And step 4, aggressively pay down your existing high-interest debt. Think about it. Getting rid of a 20% credit card balance is literally a guaranteed 20% risk-free return. You can't beat that. Now, yes, I know this approach might feel a bit slower. It might even feel kind of boring compared to the sports car analogy. But hey, boring is beautiful in finance. Consistency almost always beats trying to artificially accelerate your returns with borrowed money. Building that consistent investing habit allows you to comfortably stay in the market through all the wild ups and downs, completely free from the crushing, awful stress of having to make loan payments on a shrinking portfolio. So, we've looked at the seductive math, we've gone over the catastrophic risks of a market downturn, the differences between loans and credit lines, and the safer, highly effective alternatives. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on for your own financial journey. Knowing everything you know now, would you ever actually borrow money to invest? Or do you think the potential crash of that financial sports car is just way too risky?